then he'll talk about the counterterrorism and the internal threat, so to speak.
For giving me this opportunity to speak to this august audience. I know that I'm talking to an informed audience, but I also see students sitting there. I'll be very brief and to the point because I've been tasked like that, but I'll be happy if I can agitate your mind to ask certain questions towards the end, because brevity will leave certain questions and I'll be happy to answer them. First, I'm going to talk about non-traditional threats. Traditional, non-traditional. Traditional is conventional war, non-traditional is the kind of conflict that we have faced in last 2 decades or so. And before going on to my recommendations, I would like to set the stage and talk about certain realities which are there on ground, which have really defined the environment of this non-traditional threat. To any nation, and Pakistan is no exception, the threats are always a mix of traditional and non-traditional threats. And it's a mix, this mix keeps on varying, keeping in view the environment in which we are living. In South Asia, as far as nuclearization is concerned and modern means of conflict are concerned, non-traditional threats became more prevalent after because the space for traditional threats, that is conventional war, was curtailed. And the space which was left by the conventional war was occupied by the non-traditional threats. 9/11 in particular curtailed our liberty of action to respond to non-traditional threats. I am talking in the domain of offensive low-intensity conflict. You must recall that there was a time once India would do something bad in Pakistan, Pakistan also had the liberty to pay in the same coin. But particularly 9/11 curtailed our liberty of action. And conversely, India had a heyday. India could operate very freely. Global war on terror vitiated and enhanced liberty of action of India. So while our liberty was curtailed, their liberty was enhanced. And its manifestation we have seen in the form of annexation of Kashmir. And India particularly created a 3-front scenario for Pakistan. We had a live enemy in the east, we had a troublesome border towards the west, and we had a vitiated inner front. Deterrence, that is the nuclear deterrence, I've already mentioned, have curtailed the space for traditional threats, which was occupied by the non-traditional threat. Consequently, ladies and gentlemen, security challenges compounded with non-traditional threats in last 2 decades. I've authored a book on terrorism, and I've been to these kind of operations since 2002. So since then, we have all along faced non-traditional threats. And in my view, the same pattern is going to prevail in the foreseeable future. Non-traditional threats, they warrant greater reliance on intelligence organizations. And I will also like to say that the suitability of force, we have 3 kinds of forces: first line forces, second line forces, and police force. The suitability of force for non-traditional threat becomes inverse to what is for the conventional threat. In case of conventional threat, the best force is army, second is the second line force, and third is the police. In case of non-traditional threat, it's the other way around. Police is the best, then is the second line forces, and then is the first line forces. Now, as far as response is concerned, my concrete recommendations: military and intelligence responses of Pakistan have been more focused towards traditional threats. So that has one, that it has burdened our national exchequer, our national kitty. It has imposed fiscal burden on our economy. And secondly, it has precluded our responses towards the non-traditional threats. Collection of information, collation of intelligence, and coordination of intelligence gains great importance if we want to counter the non-traditional threat. Police force, the first thing that I have already said, that is the best force as far as non-traditional threats are concerned, needs to be depoliticized, most important, needs to be reconfigured, needs to be re-equipped on the modern lines. I say with a very heavy heart that since 2002, as I've been observing, I haven't seen any change, as positive change as far as our police force is concerned. Part of our intelligence organization must focus on traditional threats because we are living with them, but a major part under a potent NECTA should coordinate our intelligence effort as far as the non-traditional threats are concerned. Border security has to be ensured. There has to be, most important thing is that there has to be a political will for the whole of nation approach. I very often say that Sri Lanka won 27 years long protracted insurgency conflict of the basis of Rajapaksa model, who was president of Sri Lanka. And if you read that model on internet, you will find that second principle says, go to hell. We will do what is right for our country. So I'm looking for a leader who says that the word or everybody should go to hell, will do what is right for our country. There are 4 phases of non-traditional operations: clear, hold, build, and transfer. In most of the cases, we have seen our governments, our local governments lacking in the second last 2 parts of this process. That is the building and transfer. External intelligence elements have to be, their operations, their influence has to be minimized, and neighboring countries, we have to improve our relations with them. Although we can't do much as far as India is concerned, but we can definitely do in case of Afghanistan and Iran. Coming to the second part, and that I have termed as strategic reorientation. I feel that it is high time that Pakistan should start looking in the direction where our future lies. First, I will talk of external elements. Negative to positive relevance in geopolitics. In 20th century geopolitics, unfortunately, we have played a negative role. We were meant to fight. We were meant to do the dirty part of the geopolitics. It is now our option whether we want to be friends for peace or for war. I would like to quote our first Prime Minister, Liaquat Ali Khan, who had said that we can be friends for peace but not for war. We should shun desires of easy money. Every time we seek negative relevance for the sake of easy money. We should look east where our future lies, and we should have an independent foreign policy. We should transit from a security state to an economic state. And this can be done through pursuance of CPEC, China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. I have done PhD in CPEC, and I'm a strong proponent of CPEC. I think the nature is giving us a wonderful opportunity to move from the dirty role that we have been playing in geopolitics to a positive role that we can play in 21st century geopolitics. Now we should support Chinese-centric South Asia versus Indian-centric South Asia. Indian-centric South Asia has been conflict-prone, and I can say that it is the least integrated region of the world, most impoverished region of the world, most conflict-prone region of the world because of India. So we should pursue a Chinese-centric South Asia, which is likely to be integrated and developed. Quickly, I will talk about internal few things. State of connectivity and integration versus conflict. I read a very interesting book long time ago, Pentagon's New Map, where he drew an analogy of functioning core and the gap. All the problems of the world, they lied in the gap. All UN interventions, they lied in the gap. So you can apply the same model in Pakistan. Those of our regions which are not integrated into the mainland, which are lying away from us, the most problems lie there. So our focus should be to enhance connectivity and integration. British postulates, I'm particularly talking in terms of Balochistan. British postulates of keep them alienated and rule through appeasement of Sardar should be buried once and for all. We have to have people-centric approaches. Development should be based on the state of deprivation and not amount of population. First, we should bring all the regions at par, and then we can go on to deciding it based on the population. NFC award should be based on the need and not on the erstwhile formulas. Equitable and fair distribution of CPAC projects. Where they are needed more, there should be more, rather than Punjab getting the maximum part of it. All areas should be brought at par before we resort to population-based distribution of assets. With that, I will thank you very much and pass on the podium to you. Thank you.
Wonderful. Very nice.